Number one, the body count is always bigger.
Bullshit generalization. Many sequels have surpassed their original.
Oh, yeah?
Fuck you!
Billy's mother.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some oozing to do.
Fuck. I forgot about that one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Franchise Deep Dive with Jake and Josh, the podcast where we dive deep into all of your favorite and least favorite movie franchises. I'm Jake.
And I'm Josh.
And the road to Scream 7 continues in today's episode as we move on from the original 1996 Wes Craven classic Scream right on to Scream 2, which came out 1 year later in 1997. Has a budget of around $24 million, made $172.4 million at the global box office, and has a higher Rotten Tomato score from the critics than the first Scream, with an 83%, which is fucking crazy. Now,
That stinks.
I do want to start this discussion by saying, as much as I said in the first episode when I first watched these movies when I was, kind of younger and getting into them, the first time I watched this trilogy, I did like Scream 2 more than Scream 1. I know. Ridiculous, crazy in hindsight with how much I love Scream, the original now. Arguably my favorite horror film. Depending on the day, it might be my favorite movie, depending on, what kind of mood I'm in. But yeah, I don't know. I think, you know what I think? I think I was very easily influenced, and I think young Jake looked at the Rotten Tomato score and saw that it was higher than the first one and thought, okay, well, if everybody else thinks this is better, then it probably is better. Well, I was a dumbass, needless to say. But I don't have too much of a history with this movie outside of thinking it was better than the first around my first go around with these films, but I obviously do not feel that way anymore. Do you remember your first time watching Scream 2? Did you watch it like in close succession to the first one, or no? Okay.
No, I didn't see this until high school.
Okay.
Which is crazy how early it was.
You watched the
Scream.
first one. Yeah, you watched the first one when you were like a young kid, right?
Yeah, like 7 years old.
Okay.
So like it took, high school was when I watched Scream 2, which is just, it's crazy. But I remember I did like this, probably a lot more than I did as I got older. Like my first watch, I was like, wow, here's a sequel that like, I would like say it's like, I don't think it was, I thought it was on par with the first, but I was like, it's on par in the sense of like, this is better than many sequels that I see. So,
and I still think that. That this isn't the best horror sequel, but I do still think, and it may sound at points during this discussion like I hate this movie. I'm not sure what you have to say about it. It might sound like you hate it, but I don't hate this movie. I think it's a solid, good movie, and it is better than a large majority of Friday the 13th sequels. I think it might be better than every Friday the 13th movie, period. It's better than a majority of the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels, excluding 3 and New Nightmare. I think it's better than Hellraiser 2 is pretty good. I like Hellraiser 2. But
this is better. Yeah. I'm going to go on record and say this is better than any Friday the 13th movie. Like almost easily to me.
I was about to say easily when I was talking about it, and then what I give this movie as a score is a little similar to what I gave maybe 1 or 2 of the Friday the 13th. But I do think that like any day of the week I would watch Scream 2 over every Friday the 13th movie. And that's partially because I love the franchise, but also just partially because I do think it is a better movie.
I'd watch 100 Scream movies before I watch 10 Friday the 13th movies.
Oh, yeah, easily. Yeah, 100% agree with that sentiment. And we're already starting off this episode a lot more in sync than we were the last episode, which, guys, we're sorry that the last episode was so long. We just...
Yeah, my apologies, guys.
We couldn't contain ourselves. It was Scream. We were shaking the rust off. You know, it had to be done. And it was our longest episode in a long time. We have done a much better job at shortening these and making them more easily digestible. So, but last thing before we get into the kind of discussion is the plot synopsis. A year after the Woodsboro murders, the survivors try to move on at Windsor College in Ohio. But when a new Ghostface killer starts a campus killing spree, they must face terror all over again. And that leads me to the opening scene of this film. Boy, oh boy, the opening scene of this movie.
So, let me start by saying, when it starts, though, I'm, excited. You know, it has a really good, setup. Mm-hmm. But I don't know anyone that likes Jada Pinkett in this movie. And it
is so... And no, I'm with you. I think the setup, the first 5-ish minutes, I think are great. I think setting it at the theater, at the premiere of Stab, which is the movie within a movie that this franchise inevitably becomes very, famous for. It being what am I trying to say? The movie Stab being essentially what happened in the first film. So you start off the movie Stab in the movie Scream 2, seeing the opening scene of the first Scream, but instead of Drew Barrymore, it's Heather Graham. And it's fun because especially if you watch Scream 1 and 2 in close succession to each other, you notice little dialogue changes that they have. And I love when Heather Graham's on the phone and she's what does she say? It's I don't even know you yet, and I already don't like you. And it's so it's
I don't even know you, and I dislike you already.
yeah, exactly. The house is in the movie is kind of similar to Casey Becker's house, but a little different, little kind of design changes in the interior design and everything. But I agree though, I love setting it at the theater. I believe the word that you used over text was that it's a very cozy setting.
Very
setting
much
it in
so.
This movie theater. Let me ask you,
you get that
this,
90s
though.
theater. That's always good to look at.
Let me ask you this, Josh. If you walked into a movie theater and it was a movie that you were excited to see, and you saw that crowd and what was going on inside of that theater, would you sit down and watch that movie, or would you go get a refund?
So if it's for a movie like Stab, I'm heading the hell out. I don't even know if I'm getting a refund. I might just eat that as a loss. But if it's for a movie that you are, there's a lot of build up to, you want to see opening night. Yeah, I'm gonna suck it up. But yeah, Stab, I'm out. I'm not going in that. There's nowhere to sit. I gotta watch it standing up in the aisle.
That is the rowdiest, most obnoxious theater I've ever seen in a movie.
Imagine doing a theater check for that.
Oh my God, I would have killed myself. I would have just straight up quit my job and left. For those of you who don't know, me and Josh used to work at a movie theater together, and part of the job of the usher, outside of cleaning the theaters, is we had to do 2 theater checks per screening of each movie.
2.
So if you ever see the guy walking in with the little orange flashlight,
which you don't anymore. I don't see those guys anymore.
No, I don't see it either. They just kind of gave up, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. But so yeah, if I walked into that theater, I don't care what movie it's for, I'm leaving. Unless it's a midnight showing of The Room and you expect a rowdy crowd, the movie starts and people are screaming and hooting and hollering and people are commenting on the movie and shouting. I'd have been no, I'm done. If I'm Omar Epps in that situation, I'm okay, let's go see Sandra Bullock. I'm not doing this.
Yeah. I can't stand, and this happens with every movie. I personally don't know many people that have these reactions to the most normal things. Not normal things, but I love when you see some of the people the glass gets smashed, and then the woman screams, or it's when Jada's watching it. It's when she gets stabbed. When Heather Graham gets stabbed. And she turns away. She's like, oh my God, ah! She's screaming, and I'm there's no jump happening. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know anyone that actually like gets scared at those kinds of moments in a movie.
Well, it makes me like wonder, like, you know, you ever seen those like trailers back in the day for like Paranormal Activity, and they like put the camera inside the screening to catch the audience's reaction. And I'm always like, I've seen Paranormal Activity. There is not one single fucking, first off, nothing happens in that movie, not a single fucking thing in the entire hour 20 minutes. It is one of the most boring goddamn fucking movies of all time.
Still never
I'm
seen
sorry. Okay.
Still never seen it.
You've never seen any Paranormal Activity?
Nope.
That's okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
I never had an interest.
No, you're not missing anything. I almost had sunken cost. You know what sunken cost fallacy is? So it's when you have invested too much time into something that you feel the innate need to finish it, or because you've put so much time into it. I almost had that with Paranormal Activity, because I'd seen 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th one, which is called The Marked Ones, and then I think it was the 5th one where I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this. I did the same thing.
Me with Stranger Things.
I gave up on Stranger Things. I knew, I was like, this show is headed down a dark path that I don't want to follow. I'm not into this. I stopped after season 3. So all the people
they reeled me back in with 4. They reeled me back in, and I was like really like back into it.
Yeah,
man.
No way to take a neat idea and drag it out for, fucking 5 seasons. But either way, back to Scream 2. I do agree with your initial statement. I think the setup is good. I actually think that Omar Epps' character, I think his death is good. I think it's a pretty gruesome way to start the movie. You get him going off to use the bathroom and kind of puts his head up to the stall walls, which is its own level of weird. I just wouldn't do that. Bathrooms are disgusting. But takes the fucking knife through the wall into his ear. It's a great first kill, I think. And then all of that is ruined by the utter absurdity that is Jada Pinkett Smith's death, which it's so fucking ridiculous and stupid. So you take what could have been a cool opening, and all they had to do, and I believe this does actually happen in a movie that had already come out prior to Scream 2, but I don't care. Scream, you're a franchise that's known for satirizing, parodying horror. Like, you can rip off another horror film and it'll work. Just have her get stabbed and killed in the seat and die. Like, that's all you need to make that scene fine. And instead, you have Jada getting stabbed like 8 goddamn times as she makes her way up to the stage, lets out the most like nauseating, earth-shattering squeal of all time, and then just falls over. And then everyone like starts taking off their masks, and they're like, what? She's actually dead? This isn't a publicity stunt? What? Oh my god. I fucking hate it. I hate it.
Yeah, let's go back to the stall, because you get that nice little, I got like a little Black Christmas nod, because like the voice is like saying what's it saying? It's like saying something, mommy, don't, I forget what exactly it's saying, but I remember
it even sounds like Billy a little bit from Black Christmas, like that like high pitched voice.
I don't know how you're getting that knife through that stall in one swing. I don't know how you're locating the ear exactly where it is, but whatever. It's a good kill. But yeah, Jada completely ruins that whole segment towards at the end. But I like the stab introduction. I like that we get that cool little thing that's like now becomes like a huge part of Scream, like every sequel.
I'll go on record and say that I like all of the stab stuff in this. Like, I love later on in the film when you get like the little scene of like Tori Spelling and Luke Wilson.
Oh my god, Luke Wilson is so fucking funny as Billy. His hair is so curled into his face. It's so funny.
For me, it's the lines that he has where he is like, when my mom left my dad, I got over it. That's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's just having Luke Wilson. I almost like, oh god, so much of me wanted to see David Schwimmer as Dewey.
Oh, I know.
That would be the icing on the cake. But yeah, sorry, what were you gonna say
about Luke Wilson? I don't remember.
Oh, so I thought I had cut you off when I was about to talk about Stab, but was there anything more about this opening that
No,
you
I mean I
had
don't.
to say?
Oh, yes, dude. Imagine getting a costume, a full-on costume, just for getting a ticket. That's badass.
Dude, that's awesome. Fun fact, that girl who gave Omar Epps and Jada Pinkett Smith their costumes, that was a fan who had won a contest to appear in the movie as a cameo.
Oh wow.
And it did always kind of stick out to me because it lingers on that shot. I don't know if you really noticed it, but after she hands the costumes to Jada and Omar and they walk off, it like lingers on that girl who hands them the costumes for like a second. But yeah, it's interesting too. Like, obviously bringing things kind of back to that like meta satire angle. I love how before they get their tickets, they're kind of in line and they're having this discussion about horror films and how it's kind of like this adrenaline fueled experience. And then you have Jada going into how Black people have been portrayed throughout horror cinema and just that little back and forth. I think it's just like an interesting little conversation they have because that is like a very prominent conversation about horror films, you know, how they have treated Black people historically in them has not always been like the greatest and not always portrayed in the best of light. So I just thought it was an interesting way to start the film by not only having that conversation between two characters who are Black, but then also making it so that they are the two first people killed, which I think, I don't know if that's like intentional or if Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson just weren't thinking that through, but I hope it's like a commentary and it wasn't just like a lapse in judgment, but I always thought that was kind of funny. Can we talk about something that, oh, sorry, I was just going to say,
no, you go ahead.
Immediately after that opening kill, you are introduced to Sydney. You know, we're getting our protagonist from the first film back. And I'm going to shout out our mutual friend, Colin.
Yeah.
Because me and him are in the same mindset of this. And this is not
Oh, you're
juvenile.
with him.
Yes. Are we talking about the same thing? It's that Nev Campbell in Scream 2 is one of the most attractive women ever put to screen.
She's better in Scream 1.
I think her haircut in this is gorgeous. They make her look like a little bit older because it is supposed to be 2 years removed. In the first
she pulls
one,
it off because she's gorgeous, but
yeah,
her with the bangs, I think looks better.
She does wear. I mean, she wears bangs a lot better than Courtney Cox does.
But like even Courtney Cox, I used to think I liked Courtney Cox more in the second. I do not. She's still good. She's way better in the first one. Her hair is better. You just like those cuts. I don't know why. You like those haircuts.
I think I like the red streaks in her hair in the second one.
The red streaks are cool. I still like I like the streaky blonde. I like the streaky blonde look on her. Her hair's like bigger, it's fuller. I think she just looks better.
Is in the first one, her hair is like very 90s. Like it's that big kind of poofier hair. Yeah. Whereas in the second one, it's like just a little bit more kind of, you know, pulled back. But I just had to bring up Sydney.
I think she looks like visibly older. I also don't like the dark lipstick. I don't like the dark lipstick that she has.
That's fine.
I think
it works. It works for me. No, I think everybody in this movie like significantly gets more attractive. They even make like Dewey look somehow, but actually,
you think Dewey looks more attractive?
I think Dewey looks better. You know who looks horrible because they make him look like, and I'm gonna steal this a little bit from the horror show because they're the first persons to really like, you know, lead me in that direction. Randy looks like a fucking leprechaun in this movie.
His fucking
oh my gosh,
his chin hair is unbelievably funny.
And I don't know if we said it, guys, but obviously if you're a fan of this podcast, or I don't know why you would watch a podcast about people talking about a movie that you haven't seen, but we are going to spoil the shit out of this movie, and also Scream 1. So for some reason, if you haven't seen Scream 1 or 2 and you're still listening or watching this, then, you know, spoilers.
Then thank you, actually. You know, thank you. That's a good compliment to us.
But yeah, thank you, I guess. But I wanted to bring up Randy as a character as a whole because they really, I think, do Randy pretty wrong in this movie. Like, not only, spoiler alert again, guys, but he dies. Randy is killed, I want to say around the middle point of the film. And going back to what I had said at the beginning of this episode, which was I don't think it was just me looking at the Rotten Tomatoes score, but in the first Scream, it initially bothered me that not one of like the main characters died. Like I guess yes, you have Tatum. Tatum's like the big main character death in that first film. However, Randy gets shot but doesn't die. Gale gets knocked out but doesn't die. Dewey gets stabbed in the back but doesn't die. Sydney survives. So a lot of surviving. And when I initially had watched Scream 2, I thought that it was a really great way to kill off a character that not only people were attached to, that people were a fan of and had some sort of emotional connection with, but also it just raised the stakes of the film. Killing a character like Randy at that point in the film, I initially had felt like, oh, that really raises the stakes and makes me think that anybody could die. Not that I ever thought that like Sydney would die or anything, but it really raised the stakes for me. But in hindsight, I think with the way that the rest of the franchise kind of carries out, I think killing Randy in hindsight was a mistake, and removing the horror buff character, it was a mistake on their part. I don't know how you feel about that, but like,
well, are you looking at it in the grand scheme of a trilogy or how many they have now? Because
both. Like there's a scene in 3, and I don't want to talk about 3 too much, but there is a scene in 3 where it's like, all right, well, if you were just gonna do that, like, did you really need to kill Randy? Like,
although I don't know who
you know what I mean?
I don't know who you would kill. I guess you could kill off Gale or even like Dewey maybe. Yeah. Although I like Dewey more than Randy, so
no, I do too. I just think that like I just feel like if you're going to, the whole franchise is built around this, like not only being a slasher whodunit, but also it is a meta satire, kind of poking fun at the tropes and cliches of horror and especially slashers. But like if that's the case, I just don't see like what removing Randy does for the equation. Like I feel like just removing him from the series is just, especially when in like, you know, you get to the later films like 4, 5, and 6, you just essentially replace that character with another person who really loves movies. So it just feels like a little bit redundant at a certain point, you know. I don't know. It's just kind of
I'm okay with them killing him off. I don't know how I feel about how he gets killed off. I don't know. Maybe I could be doing that thing that I do, but like I feel like Randy, who's like very like, he's very in tune with like what's happening, the like possibilities. I guess you wouldn't expect them to be in the van, but like I don't know.
See, sorry, what?
Well, do we talk about who the killers are yet, or who? All right, who the killer is that kills Randy in that scene? A little too strong for me. Just a little too strong. I mean, well,
no, I'm fine. I'm fine with that because it is like a surprise and like you're not expecting it. What I'm not okay with in that scene, what I think ruins that death scene, because I like, weirdly enough, even though I'm not like a big fan of killing Randy's character in that moment, I do think that the whole courtyard scene is really good. I think that is the only scene in the movie that uses the college setting to its fullest potential, because I like the college setting, and I especially in that scene, I think it's fun that like when Randy's talking to Ghostface, he's rambling off a bunch of other horror films that are set on college campuses, like House on Sorority Row, Splatter University, that sort of stuff. So I think that's like a neat little touch to that scene. But it doesn't feel like they're using the college setting to its fullest potential for a majority of the movie, and it actually makes the first one look a lot better in hindsight, because that like close-knit high school community just feels more together. So the stakes are a little bit risen. It's people you know, it's people that you spend a lot of time with, it's people that you've known for years who could be doing this, and I think that element is played up really well in that first one. Whereas in this second film, the only time that I'm like, oh, the college setting really adds to the overall experience of watching it is in that courtyard scene when Randy's on the phone with Ghostface, who's like, oh, I can see you. Meanwhile, Gale and Dewey are running all over the courtyard trying to catch anybody who has a phone in the act, which it's like a funny scene, but it's also kind of suspenseful. And I do like the idea, if you are going to kill Randy, of surprising him, pulling him into the van. I also just kind of like I love when the Ghostface on the phone is shit talking Randy and is like, oh, poor Randy, never gonna get the girl. And Randy gets immediately pissed off, and like his tone changes, and he's like, fuck you. I love that. But what ruins that scene is after he gets pulled into the van, the reason that nobody hears it, the fucking boombox. It's like every time this movie I feel like has something kind of going for it, it does something to like shoot itself in the foot. Like we talked about, that opening scene starts out great, good setting, the theater, we love the stab stuff. Omar Epps, it's a little silly, but it's a good kill, and then you ruin it with Jada's death. This courtyard scene, great setup, great kind of, you know, setting for the scene to take place. You're mixing comedy, you're mixing suspense and horror all in one, and then you ruin it because you have some guy randomly, you know, just coincidentally walking by the van with a boombox right at that moment, blaring the boombox
In those
so that
5
nobody can hear
seconds,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, in those exact 5 seconds. And it's just, why? And I don't, if you mind if I jump ahead a little bit? Because it leads me to another scene that I think is by far and away the most suspenseful and best executed scene in the whole film, followed by immediately them ruining it. And it's
Is it the cop car?
Yes, it's the fucking cop car.
Yeah.
So
that part's really good.
that part is great, right? You have Ghostface essentially hijacking the car that Sydney and her roommate Hallie are in because they're being driven to a remote safe location to you know, keep them away from Ghostface and the murders and all that, you know, nonsense and whatnot. Ghostface essentially hijacks the car, starts out by killing the driver. You know, the other guy gets out of the car, he runs over the other guy and who's like hanging on the hood as Ghostface is trying to shake him off, runs the car off the road into this like construction area, and the other guy who's supposed to be guarding Sydney, it's fucking gruesome, gets impaled through the back of the head with like a pole or a metal rod or something, and it is fucking gross to look at.
His
And
hands like twitching with the gun.
Yeah, you know me, dude. Anytime like someone's dead but their like hands twitch, that
Yeah.
shit freaks me the fuck out 10 out of 10 times. And you get a setup for a great scene of suspense where all the doors are locked because it's like one of those police vehicles where it's like, you know, the doors are locked and everything. And Sydney and Hallie have to essentially climb over to the front seat, climb over Ghostface, who's in the driver's seat, to climb out of the driver's side window. And it's a great scene of suspense. And there's this moment where Sydney is like a fucking hair away from pulling off the mask and seeing who's doing these killings. And it's so great and so, you know, perfectly executed. The editing is great. The music is great. The suspense is there. She gets out. Okay, boom, one is clear. And you're like, oh, fuck. Okay, now Hallie has to do the same thing. Hallie's coming over and you're like, oh, God, is Ghostface going to wake up? Is he going to stab Hallie? Like, what's going to happen?
No way you're going to let 2 people climb over you.
No way 2 people are going to get over him. And then she does. And you're like, oh, my God. And then they fucking ruin it because Sydney and Hallie start running off. And Sydney goes, oh, wait, no, hold up. I have to see who it is. It's like, Sydney, you had a chance, man. You had a chance when you were in there. You could have, I don't know why you're doing it so slow. You could have just pulled the mask off and seen it real quick. Either way, you missed your opportunity. Now is not the time. And then they ruin it even further because when Sydney goes over to the car, Ghostface is gone and then somehow fucking teleports behind her friend Hallie and stabs and kills Hallie. It's a bad kill. It doesn't look good. You hear most of the stabbing off screen. And when you look at the landscape of that scene, like where it's set, where the car crashes,
Yeah.
zero possible chance that he was able to get behind her without them noticing.
Are we supposed to think he went through the window, the door, like the passenger side? I mean, like they're
idea.
They're running away for like 5 seconds max. 5 seconds. And you'd have to wake up. That means you either allowed them to crawl over you for that which wouldn't happen.
No.
So that means you just happen to wake up in those few seconds that they're running off. Get out of there without them hearing you. Yeah, that I agree with you. That completely, because that's such a good part. I'm like, you're like stressed the entire time waiting for something to happen. And I love that it doesn't. But I don't know. I think it's worse that Ghostface isn't there to me. Because I still kind of buy into Sydney kind of being in the moment of like impulsively getting the fuck out of there and then realizing, wait a minute, this might help me if he's knocked out, I get going back. It's Ghostface leaving and then somehow appearing behind the crates to kill Hallie.
It makes no sense. It's a terrible kill and like too, like, you know, lending to like what I was talking about in the previous episode about how like you do kind of just care and you are invested in all of the main characters. And I know you said that like maybe they go a little too much into like making them seem like they are the killer, or the, you know, too hard into the red herring direction. But in this film, I don't think the red herrings are that strong to begin with. This is the only Scream, by the way, and I'm not lying, I'm not making this up. This is the only Scream that the very first time I watched it, I was able to call both killers. It's the only film that
I only called one. I only called one. I did
this
not see what you saw when I first watched it. That one threw me off guard. I clearly wasn't paying attention to the one.
Okay, so let's lay out who the killers are. So for starters, we didn't mention that there is a character who is known as Debbie Salt, played by Laurie Metcalf, who is at first shown to be a reporter. She also is a writer, and she's following Gale around for a majority of the movie. She always seems to be around Gale at specific points in the film. She never interacts with any of the other characters. She never interacts with Sydney or Dewey or Randy or any of those characters. So she's always just around Gale. She is one of the killers, and it is revealed in the climax of the film that she is, and going back to my opening quote, Billy's mother. Yes, she is in fact Mrs. Loomis, apparently, who had a little bit of plastic surgery and lost a bunch of weight, according to Sydney, and that's why Gale didn't recognize her. So there's that. And to lend to what Josh was saying earlier, it is revealed that she is the one who killed Randy, and it was partially in turn because he started talking shit about Billy over the phone to Mrs. Loomis.
Imagine her having the strength to yank him in, fly him off his feet, right into that van.
I mean, to be fair, though, like, Randy's not, like, a big guy. Like, he's a pretty small dude.
Yeah, but she's, like, what is she? You know, she's middle-aged.
I mean...
Doesn't look like she works out that much. Like, yeah, she doesn't look like she's strong.
I don't think
he flies in the van. It's a van. It's elevated. You gotta pick his ass up and drag him in.
He does get yanked pretty hard.
They're on a college campus. I don't know how no one saw that. Whatever.
That is a problem too. Or like, isn't there any cameras set up or anything like that?
Yeah.
But either way, so she is one of the killers, and then the other killer is revealed to be Mickey Altieri, who is the best friend of Sydney's new boyfriend, Derek, played by Jerry O'Connell, and Mickey is played by Timothy Olyphant, who is, you know, famous for Justified. He was also in the Mandalorian show, or maybe it was Boba Fett. I don't know. Mandalorian, I think it was. It doesn't fucking matter.
He was like the easiest one for me.
Yeah,
he was like,
and
it was just too like, and that could be one where it's like, oh, he's too obviously a suspect. I don't know, and he's gone like the entire third of the act. You never see him again after, like, I think after Derek's like dance, like singing scene. I don't think there's like another scene with him.
Oh fuck! Can we talk about that? Because that may be the worst scene in Scream.
Okay,
like
all right, you good.
Franchise.
I was gonna say, like, do you like it?
The franchise. It is like the worst scene in the entire franchise.
I can't stand it.
It is horrible. You know why I hate it? And it's not because it's cheesy, and it's not because it's cringy. It is because the second that happens, you immediately write Derek off as a killer. Or at least I do. Because there is no potential chance, because part of Scream is you have to make sure that the killer can still be somewhat threatening post-reveal. And the second that you have your character do a song and dance number in the middle of a college cafeteria, there's no possible shot that they're making that guy Ghostface. So for me, I write it off.
For me, I guess I didn't write him off. I thought that it still could have been him, because I'm like, you could easily just do that to like make yourself not like conspicuous, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it's just cringy, like all the way through. And it doesn't, like, it's out of nowhere. Like he pulls out the seat for her. She doesn't sit next to him. So there's this distant tension between them. And he's like depressed about it. And he just goes into song and dance. It's like,
see, I don't think it's out of nowhere, because it is kind of established in their relationship after these attacks and whatnot. It is kind of established that like there is sort of a fracture in their relationship now. The wheels are starting to turn in her head. She's getting kind of PTSD flashbacks.
No, that part's not out of nowhere.
Film.
I'm fine with that.
So him singing, like doing the song and dance number, I don't think it comes out of nowhere. I just think for me, if you're putting that in a movie, a whodunit mystery, for me, I immediately write him off as the killer. Whereas you have two other characters that one of them only interacts with one other character in the film and seemingly just pops up out of nowhere. She has such a weird presence in the movie. And
I
the
did
other,
not suspect her once when I first watched it. I honestly think she blew past my head because when she came out, Jake, I kid you not, I guess I wasn't paying attention, did not remember who she was.
She's not in the movie a lot.
Yeah, I forgot she was a character. She was such a throwaway character to me, which I mean, it didn't fool you. You nailed it, but like, I feel like a lot of people didn't know that was who it was. Do you think a lot of people guessed her?
I'm not sure. Well, because we didn't even talk about kind of the behind the scenes problems that this movie got plagued with, which was the original script for Scream 2 got leaked. Now you can find this original script online, and I have read it in the past. I wanted to read it again for the sake of this episode, but I just kind of ran out of time, and I don't know if you guys can tell through my voice, but I've kind of been battling a little bit of a cold. But I have read the script, and in the original script, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the killers were not Mickey and Mrs. Loomis. The killers were the friend Hallie and Derek, the boyfriend.
Mm-hmm. There was a couple
those were
leaks,
the
right?
Original two. I believe so, yeah.
So I also read that they were fake leaks that they did to throw you off. Is that true?
I'm not sure about that.
That was.
I think from what I've done, or from what I've learned through like research in the past, and I wanted to do a little bit more. I just again lost track of time, but I think that Kevin Williamson, God rest him, he's not dead. What am I talking about? God bless his soul is what I meant to say.
Man's just watching Hot Fuzz too much.
I think he's a pathological liar, and I think that Kevin Williamson likes to just make up stuff to kind of fit and shoot a little bit of a narrative. But yeah, so I don't know, because I've heard stories where there were script leaks, and that made them change who the killers were. Like you read stories in the trivia about how none of the actors knew who the killers were, and they didn't reveal it until like the final day of filming or something like that. And there was all these fake scripts, and it's like it just seems like a lot of work and a lot of hoopla just to be like, like who purposely leaks a script? Like what's the use of that? Like I don't see like what that like benefits anybody.
I don't know. Maybe because Scream 1 was like such a memorable twist that they tried to like one up it. So it's like let's throw people off. I don't know.
I guess, but either way, the killers that we do get in this film, I do not like. Yeah, I don't like them. I think I like Mrs. Loomis a little bit more than Mickey, and a lot of that is due to post-reveal. Mickey becomes almost an entirely different character. He has not acted this way throughout the entire film.
He's bad.
And then
he's really bad.
And I don't think it's Timothy Olyphant's fault. I think it was just the way the character was written, where they were like, all right, now you're revealed as the killer. So now like be really exaggerated and be really goofy and over the top. And I think that the reveal actually would land a lot better, and I would think of these killers in a more favorable light if Mickey, after the reveal, like stayed kind of like a little bit more straight-faced, a little bit more menacing, like maybe
the way he was in like film class, and like just like
yes,
just have this like I don't know, this fucking like
that film class scene actually
look.
Yeah, that film class scene actually lends back to what I was kind of getting at earlier, where I think they fuck Randy's character up, not only killing him off too early in the series, but
he's
also
dumb.
In that scene, I know it's been talked about to death, and I understand that filming on film is a little different than digital, and you're actually burning resources. You're not just burning up an SD card, so I get that takes cost money and time. However, if your film buff character is like known as the guy who knows all about movies, he's in a fucking film class, and the other guy, Joshua Jackson's character in that scene, misquotes Alien, but actually says the right quote, and then Randy, the quote-unquote film buff, corrects Joshua Jackson and says the wrong line from Aliens.
And then sarcastically doubles down and says, it's film class, right? And then the teacher like nods like, yeah. Like,
it is not played like Randy is wrong. It is played like Randy schooled this guy.
Yeah, I know.
Stupid.
It's insane. How? Yeah. It's not like Randy just got the line wrong. That was written.
Yeah.
So I cannot understand. I cannot fathom what they were thinking, because they do it again in this movie. Maybe I'm not like realizing the rules of like sequels and trilogies, but Mickey at the party says, "Oh, I got another one, Empire Strikes Back," and Randy says, "Not a sequel. It's part of a trilogy. It's like."
Well, like, what he specifically says, and I think there's one key word you're missing, is Randy says, not a sequel. It was a part of a planned trilogy. Yeah. So from Randy's eyes, it doesn't count as a sequel because it was a planned middle part of a trilogy, which still also doesn't fucking make sense.
Wasn't The Godfather?
No, The Godfather wasn't planned.
It wasn't?
The first Godfather is based off a book.
No, yeah, I know, but they're not... I didn't read the book, so I didn't know if there's more like in
No, I don't think
that.
so. I think they just tasked Mario Puzo with writing the sequel script for Godfather Part 2.
Well, I think that's bullshit anyway. It's still a fucking sequel, Randy.
Either way, outside of that one moment where Randy fucks up and they, for some reason, kept it in, I guess Joshua Jackson fucked up and then Randy corrected his... I don't know. Well, I don't know how to describe it. I like that scene about... I think that's a fun scene about sequels. I think if you're gonna do a Scream 2 and you're gonna continue the thread of like satire and setting it in a world of characters who know about movies and who love movies, I like the little sequel discussion.
I
think it's
like
just a
that
fun
scene
moment.
more. I don't like how it's played out at all. I used to, and I just got annoyed by that scene because I don't know. I really would like that scene if it was just done differently, but I guess I just don't agree with anyone in that fucking class. They're all kind of like, first off, I'm a big Godfather 1 guy. I understand that 2 is like regarded as better, probably majority. Although I think it's more split than people realize.
I think it's split. Yeah, it's split.
Yeah, but like, what am I? They're all like, first off, they're talking like sequels are a lot of times better. Like Randy is not like out of line by saying like by definition they're like inferior to the original. That is true, and then like the two guys. Mickey
I don't know if that's true.
What?
What do you mean by like by definition they're inferior? So that
meaning,
by that meaning like they're all worse.
Meaning
which I
like
don't think is true.
Most of the time they're not better than the original or as
But that's
good.
not what he's saying. And that's where I like the discussion is because it is kind of split. You have Randy who's like, no, the original is always better, which I think is fun because he's a character from the original. Whereas Mickey is arguing for sequels, and he is a character in the sequel who's also trying to make a sequel to what
is
Billy
Randy
and
saying
Stu
that
are
I'm
trying to do.
missing? When he says by definition they're inferior, what is he saying?
Well, you said that was true. I don't think that's a blanket statement that I don't think is true. If he would have said most sequels are worse, then I would have agreed. But him saying by definition sequels are inferior, I don't think that, because what he's implying is essentially every sequel is inferior to the original because it is a continuation and not the original, which is how I take what he's saying.
I guess I'm thinking of it just more like majority, and I guess because the response was so outlandish by like Mickey, where it was like, oh no, like so many times the sequel surpasses the original. It doesn't. It really doesn't.
That's not what he says though. What he say again, it's specifics. What he says is that's not true. Many sequels have surpassed the original.
Many.
He's not saying most, but there are.
No, he's
some.
saying a lot. He's saying a lot, and I don't agree.
I mean, I think the ones that they name outside of Joshua Jackson bringing up House 2, I think all the ones that they bring up are the common ones. Godfather 2, Aliens,
I think
Terminator
like,
2.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I don't even necessarily like. I like Alien over Aliens. I like T1 over T2. I like Godfather 1 over Godfather 2. So I'm with Randy. Like, I do think that the originals and all of those are better.
But I think one I agree with.
But yeah, that's why I think it's just like a fun discussion in the film class. Like, I don't know.
I just don't think it's. I guess I don't think it's a discussion that would like. I believe that would happen in a film class. But maybe if someone is saying yes, they're always inferior. I guess, but I could probably name you like 10. There's so many All right, probably more than 10. But
No,
like,
no, but so then you just disagree with Timothy Oliphant. But I think it's a part of his character. Like, I think that's a crucial. Whereas I had stated in the first Scream that I think what makes Billy and Stu so psychotic is that they actually start applying these cliches and horror tropes and the rules of horror into real life, quote unquote, real life. It's still in the movie, but in their real life. Whereas in Scream 2, I think it's very fascinating that the one guy who's like the huge proponent and arguing for sequels being superior is the guy who's trying to make a real life sequel. I think that's like a really like clever little character trait that I just think works for the movie. I just think it's a fun scene. I didn't want it to be like a huge discussion. I just thought it was like a fun scene of like, okay, they're bringing over a little bit of that like kind of love of movies into this one, and it's the sequel, so they're talking about sequels. Like it's a little
Randy
on the
kills it
nose,
with a
but
quote from me.
no, he doesn't.
Randy kills it with the quote.
That's a stupid. Which one? The Godfather one or the Terminator one?
No. When he gets the aliens quote wrong, he like ruins it.
Oh, that scene sucks. Yeah, I hate that part, or not that scene, but that moment. I hate that moment. It's just do another take. I don't know, but yeah, let's jump to because I don't have too much left to say, but I do want to talk about like a major flaw that I have in this film, and that it is the pacing. I think by far and away Scream 2 has the worst pacing in the entire franchise. I don't think it's the worst film in the series, but I think it has and I still really enjoy it. I want to say, like, on a personal level, I do really enjoy it. There's just where we were last episode talking about, like, criticisms of movies. I have a lot more criticisms of Scream 2. And a lot of it goes back to what I said earlier, where it's like every time they have something going for them, it seems like they do something to hobble themselves. And I wish that they'd taken a couple different directions with certain things. But this movie is entirely too long. I think it's around an hour 59, 2 hours on the dottish. And it feels longer than that. And it feels a lot longer than the first film, partially because I think the first film has the benefit of that entire last 42 minutes taking place in one location. All this shit is happening. You start out that party with Tatum's death. You continue it with all this chaos happening. It's such a great finale for that movie. Whereas this one, I don't know. And it leads to like what I think you can cut out of this movie. I don't need Sydney and her like whole subplot being a part of the school play and being an actress. And
I hate the scene where where Ghostface like comes in the dancing, and that's like a pretty decent chunk of like movie we're watching. It's like from when she's talking to the professor to like the end of that. It's like what, 5 minutes at least.
I get what they were.
Doesn't do anything.
Yeah. I get what they were trying to do with that scene with the professor, her theater teacher, because essentially what he was trying to get at was like, hey, you cannot run from your problems. You can't run from your past and hide from them. You have to face your fears. And I get that. And that leads to Sydney at the end deciding not to run, not to run away anymore, to face her fears, to fight. And I like that character development. I just wish they had found a different way to do it that didn't involve Sydney being in a play. And you realize too that like that whole scene only takes place to set up where the finale is going to take place and get, because Derek gets kidnapped by his frat brothers for giving away his frat necklace and his letters to Sydney, which is like a big no in Greek life, I guess. And that gets him kidnapped, and then they put him up on the I don't know, this sort of like, I don't know what you would call it.
It looked like a star, and he was like hung
like some star thing, and then like he's like lifted up. And I do want to say, because we shit talked the reveal and the killers. I do want to say I like the scene with Timothy Oliphant when he first reveals himself, and Sydney sees Derek strung up, and her immediate thought is to help him down, but then Mickey starts playing these sort of mind games with her, starts this like manipulation thing, and it fucks with her just enough for her to move out of the way and for him to shoot Derek and kill him, and then he twists the knife even further because he's like, oh geez, what did Derek ever do? He was such a nice boy. He was going to be a doctor. And then he cuts real deep, and he's like, just the boy that you'd want to bring home to your mom if you had a mom. And then everything from there on out gets fucked up because he just starts becoming an absolute goofball. That's like,
I don't know
way
what he
too
does
over
with
the
his
top,
voice, but it ain't it.
No, yeah, it's he starts doing like a weird accent at one point, like his teeth are like gritting together, and he's like talking through. The whole thing is just not handled well. And then you get to the part that we haven't even addressed yet, because I like the inclusion of this character, but I hate how it's handled, and that's Liev Schreiber as Cotton Weary. Because he starts out as a character that you're like, oh, he's not a bad guy. Like, he's out of prison now, and he seems to get upset with Gail because she, didn't tell Sydney that they were going to be in an interview together. But then he just, like, I don't want to say assaults Sydney in the library, but he gets very aggressive and physical.
He, like, grabs her
with her. Yeah. And, like, then has the nerve to, like, get upset with the police for taking him in, and he just keeps harping on, I'm an innocent guy. You might want to look up the definition of innocent. Cotton, shut the fuck up. This girl has been attacked. There's killings on campus. You're linked, whether you like it or not, to the Woodsboro murders. Like, and now you're getting aggressive with a survivor of those murders. Like, are you not, like, is that not clicking with you, Cotton? Also, I've never met or heard of a real person named Cotton in life. Is that even a real name?
I don't know what the hell that is.
The rest of the names in Scream are normal. Tatum Riley, Dewey Riley, or I guess his name's Dwight, Sidney Prescott, Billy Loomis, normal fucking names, and then you get Cotton Weary. Come on, Kevin. What are we talking about, Kevin? Yeah. Scream 2, though. Again, it has its moments, I think. I think... Like, oh, that's another thing, too. In the original script for Scream 2, at least the one I read, now, with what you said, it might have been a fake leak. In the original version, Cotton does help kill Hallie and Derek, but then still ends up trying to kill Sydney anyway.
I don't know if that's real, man. That's like,
It's weird, though, because, like, a lot of the other similar stuff is the same. Like, a lot of the rest of the script is very similar. The opening, I believe Randy's death, all of that stuff, so.
How do you like the Sarah Michelle Gellar scene?
Oh, I think that's great. I think that whole chase scene is really good. I always forget how kind of, like pretty visceral her stabbing is. Like, I always forget that, like, she gets to the balcony and he, like, stabs her twice in the back and then just, like, launches her hurls her off the thing. I think that's great.
Yeah, I think that was their, like, attempt to kind of, like, try their best to recreate, like, Casey's scene, because it's long. It's kind of long. It's, like, maybe a little too long, but yeah, I do like it. I think it has a really good jump. I think that's like a fun one.
Yeah.
I remember that, like, really, like, scaring me when I first watched it. But I do like that scene a good amount. I'm trying to think if there's, like,
I will say one thing that bothers me in this film, and will bother me in the third one when we get to that in the next episode, is that both of those films try to do something at the beginning where they're like, oh, see, the killer is copying, or the killer is doing this specific thing. So in Scream 2, it's, oh, all of the characters' names are similar to the characters in the first one. So Jada Pinkett Smith's name, her it's Maureen, just like Maureen Prescott, and I forget Omar Epps' first name, but his last name is Stevenson, so kind of like Steve Orth, Casey Becker's boyfriend. And then you find out that Sarah Michelle Gellar, her name is Cece in the movie, but her real name is Casey. And then that's at the moment when they're like, oh my God, the killer is recreating the Woodsboro murders. And then that is the last you ever hear of it.
Yeah, so when you texted me, when I was saying my thing, and I started to, like, think, I'm like, wait a minute, is there, like, because I forgot the reason he, like, targets them in the theater, and you're like, it's not, like, they have, like, similar names, and I'm like, oh, wait, that's right. I forgot that's a thing. And then as I was watching, I remembered why I forgot, because it's not.
No.
Yeah, they just disregard that.
No, they do a similar thing in Scream 3, but with, like, the scripts and the killer's killing people in the order of the scripts and yada yada. But then they don't follow that either. So
yeah, because that's like an interesting thing. That's like that's like a fun little thing to, like, follow. But then they stop doing it.
Who would have been the next victim in the original? So you have Maureen as number one, Scott or Steve and Casey, and then who would have been the fourth victim? Principal Himbry, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe
either way,
maybe have a college dean get murdered. I don't know.
That would have been something. But yeah. So overall, I mean, I'm pretty tapped out with my notes. I know it, guys. I really didn't want this to sound like an episode where we both sounded like we hated the movie, because I still very much do enjoy this. I think there are some good elements. We highlighted that there are some really good scenes of suspense, but I think ultimately what did this movie dirty is it came out a year after the first Scream, and I think in more than one area you can feel that it's rushed. Not only do the characters feel underdeveloped, like Mickey, like when you compare the cast of this film to the cast of the first one, and just how much closer knit and how much more interactions the characters had in the first one, to where you are guessing who could be the killer, because it could be any of these people, and any of these people would have a significant impact. And then you cut to Scream 2, and it's like what memorable scenes does Derek really have outside of the singing, which is stupid and cringy? What like, I can't think. The only thing that I can remember from Hallie is after Sydney punches Gail in the face for the second time in 2 films, Hallie like points at the cameraman and says, "Did you get that on film?" And then he goes, "Yeah, I got that on film." It's very funny. Which, small highlight, Joel the cameraman, by far and away the smartest character in horror movie history.
I was gonna say he's probably
Just
my favorite side character in Scream 2. I love him.
He's great. I honestly wish that he had gotten more screen time, but I guess that kind of removes what makes him such a fun, smart character, is that he leaves when the shit really hits the fan and then just comes back at the end. But yeah, I don't know. Overall, I know we didn't talk about as many specific scenes in this episode, but also we didn't want this one to be as long as the first episode, and also, we're still going longer than we thought we would. But either way, I don't know. Final sentiments for me, and then obviously whatever you have left or any notes that you want to get to, is there's good moments in this film. I think there are some strong elements. It does feel rushed. Like I said, the characters don't feel as developed. I don't notice as much strong direction or cinematography as I do in the first one. Like, there's tons of memorable shots in that first movie. I don't really remember that many in the second one that really stand out. The whole climax feels a little bit clunky and a little bit goofy at times. Like, in the first film, I'm never like, oh, that's like a kind of a weird thing to do. But in this second film, you have like Sydney like dropping props and pulling strings so that there's like fake wind and lightning in the theater room to, like, I don't know, psych out Mrs. Loomis or something. But the whole final climax just does not land for me. I don't like Cotton pretending that he might shoot Sydney just to get the Diane Sawyer interview, just to at the end of things be like, "Oh, Sydney, I never would have hurt you." Really? You could have fucking fooled me, Cotton. But yeah, that's really where I stand. It's a good movie. It's better than a majority of horror sequels. I'd watch it more than, like we said, every Friday the 13th movie and a good majority of the Nightmare on Elm Street films. But it's just a huge, huge dip in quality for me from that first film. Killers are worse. The side characters are worse. The deaths aren't as memorable. And overall, just doesn't hit that sweet spot like I think that first one does. But yeah, that's kind of where I am.
Yeah, no, I mean we're pretty much on the same boat here. I think they do a lot of fun stuff with like the rules of a sequel. They bring a lot of that still like fun energy and like meta awareness to the movie. But yeah, as we talked about this, I'm realizing more things. Like we both had a couple issues with similar things, but Jake kind of hit the nail on the head with where it's like they do a lot of cool things, but then they kind of ruin it at the end of like so many of those things. So yeah, it's. And the killers, yeah, I do not. I like them less and less. I kind of like them, like I dislike them equally. I don't know. I don't think the Debbie Salt characters deserved. I think they do too much. I mean, for me at least, because I didn't even remember she was a character. I think it's too like empty of a character to like make the main killer. Like, I don't know.
So it's the opposite of the problem you had in the first one. In the first one, you thought they went too hard on making everybody red herrings, and in this one, they went not hard enough to the point where you didn't even recognize one of the killers.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, that's kind of where we are. It's not a bad film. So it's just, I think it could have been a lot better. I think if they had waited, if they had taken their time with this and really just ironed out the script and spent more time on just the film as a whole and just making it more special, a little more unique, then I think it could have been a better film overall. And my last kind of note is as the film kind of ends, you get this sort of panning out shot from a bell tower. And in the original version of the script of this film, there would have been a secret hidden third Ghostface standing at the top of the watchtower or the bell tower, watching Sydney and watching the events unfold, which I think I would have liked. I think I would have liked that little reveal at the end, because it might have made the third movie a little bit better, which obviously we will get to on the next episode of this podcast. But yeah, so do you got anything else, or are you ready to get into scores and head on out of here?
Oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for scores.
All right. Do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I'm gonna give this movie a 6.4 out of 10.
All right. Well, I am gonna give Scream 2 a clean 6 out of 10. Nice and simple. Nothing
right.
fancy. Clean 6 out of 10. It's good. Not great. Not even really good. Just good. And that's fine. That's fine. You know, it's a very fine movie. You are not going to hate yourself watching it. It's definitely one of those movies that I feel like in the moment when you're watching it, you don't take as much issue with, but then the more you start to think about, the more the flaws start to, kind of rise to the surface. But all right, guys. Well, thank you for listening to this episode. Sorry again, we did go a little bit longer than expected, but who knows? Maybe the third one will be shorter, or maybe longer. We don't really know. But either way, guys, thank you again.
Could be longer, man. Oh,
there's a lot to say about the third
Yeah.
movie, so we'll get to that obviously on the next episode of Franchise Deep Dive. Obviously, if you're watching or listening to this on YouTube, you are on my personal YouTube channel, Former Film Student, where I post other movie and TV related content. I have a couple other videos out recently, so definitely check those out. Subscribe to me, leave a comment, make sure to hit the little bell notification button. So if you follow this podcast on this YouTube channel, you get notifications when we do post new episodes, and then also you'll just get notified when I myself post new videos outside of this podcast. We are also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Make sure to follow us over there, leave comments, interact with us. It would greatly be appreciated. Kind of, spread the word a little bit, tell your friends and family. Yeah, and that's really it for me. So
Yep. So, guys, as always, head over to Instagram, Franchise Deep Dive. Give us a follow there. Like, comment, slide into our DMs with suggestions or just your opinions. We always like to hear what you guys are thinking. If there's some discourse between Jake and I, we like to see whose side you guys are on. So give us a follow there and look
Absolutely.
out for some future posts and movies coming up.
Hell yeah. And let us know in the comments of whatever you're listening or watching this on. Let us know what you think of Scream 2. What do you think of the killers? What you'd rate it? Just let us know your thoughts on it. We'd love to interact with you guys and hear other people's opinions. I know a lot of people who love Scream 2. A lot of people put it as their favorite sequel. I do not, but we will get to what is my favorite sequel and sequels in later episodes. So with all of that out of the way, thank you again one last time for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode of Franchise Deep Dive. Goodbye.
Later.